Good afternoon. It's me Anuj. Today I will start a topic and that is a collision. Now first, what is a collision? Actually, it is said to occur when object crash into each other. It is said to be occur. Okay. Now suppose this is an object A and it is a object B. Now it is having some mass. It is also having some mass. It is having some suppose velocity v1. It has velocity v2 and at some instant if they collide then we can say it is a collision. This is a collision. Now the actual definition of the collision is it is an event occur it is an event in which two or more colliding bodies in which two or more colliding bodies exerts relatively relatively strong forces on each other for a relatively short time. Means it is an event in which two or more colliding bodies exert relatively strong forces on each other for short times. Now the collision is classified as first is elastic collision and second is inelastic collision. So we will study first about the what is an elastic collision, what are the basic principles involved during the elastic collision. Now we see this into detail. This is your elastic collision now. Elastic collision. A collision in which there is absolutely no losses of kinetic energy is known as elastic collision. Now the things which are involved during the process is first is that the total energy before the collision and after the collision remains conserved. The total energy is remains conserved of the two bodies. Now second thing, the kinetic energy is also conserved. And thirdly, the we can say that the total energy and kinetic energy and the linear momentum is also conserved. Means suppose this is your first body of having mass m1 and this is another body of having mass m2. It is having velocity v1, it is having velocity v2, and if they collide, this is your m1, this is your m2. Now in this process there is no loss of kinetic energy and having the masses are not changes during the collision, and after the collision it is remains conserved. And now we see the second thing, that is what is an inelastic collision. Second is inelastic collision. What is an inelastic collision? Now it is also an event where there occur some loss of kinetic energy is known as inelastic collision. It is known as inelastic collision. Here also some principles which are involved during the inelastic collisions, which are: first is the linear momentum is also remains conserved. Second thing, the total energy of the system is also remains conserved. And the third point is that the here kinetic energy is not remains conserved. Here the kinetic energy does not remains conserved, as we have seen in the elastic collision. Now we see the next thing. Here we have one coefficient which is known as coefficient of restitution. Actually, what does it says? It is defined as of coefficient of restitution. Actually, it is the ratio of the relative velocity after collision to the relative velocity of approach before collision. This is the coefficient of restitution. It means that when the two bodies collide, okay, here this is your body first and this is second body having some masses, having some velocities, and here also one more body, it is also having some masses, it is also having some velocity. So this is your first, okay, and this is your second velocity, second thing, okay. Now, as I have told you that this a body is moving with some velocity, having some mass, and here also another body, it is also having some mass and having some initial velocity. Now, when these two bodies are collide, then what will happen is that we will have to see different cases. There are many cases are arises. So at this point of time, you should only remember this thing, that coefficient of restitution is gives us the information about that which type of collision in which we are studying, कि वो कौन सा collision है जिसके बारे में हम देख रहे हैं. मीन्स हमको पता चल जाता है coefficient of restitution से कि जो हमारे पास अगर a की वैल्यू जो आएंगी, है ना, तो उससे हमको ये पता चलेगा कि कोलिजन जो था वो इलास्टिक था या इनइलास्टिक था. उसको हमने किससे डिफाइन किया है? स्मॉल e से डिफाइन किया है. ओके, now note down about the e. It is symbolized by small e, and it is defined as the ratio of relative velocity of separation to relative velocity of separation after collision to the relative velocity of approach before collision. So this is defined as small e, and it can be written as relative velocity of separation upon ये फॉर कोलिजन के बाद के लिए लिख रहे हैं हम. एंड रेशियो किसका है ये, कि बाद वाली वेलोसिटी और जो हमारी स्टार्टिंग में जो हमारे जो ये दो ऑब्जेक्ट थे इनकी वेलोसिटी की बात करें. ऑफ अप्रोच, ये बिफोर कोलिजन है, एक्चुअली बिफोर कोलिजन है यहाँ पर, एंड यहाँ पर बिफोर कोलिजन, एंड वहाँ पे आफ्टर कोलिजन. ओके, बिफोर कोलिजन एंड आफ्टर कोलिजन. इसको कैसे लिखते हैं? E इज इक्वल टू, जैसे कि हमने यहाँ पे देखा था, यहाँ पे क्या था, स्टार्टिंग में वेलोसिटी u1 था इनिशियली, एंड सेकेंड बॉडी की जो इनिशियल वेलोसिटी थी वो u2 u1 u2 एंड u1 v2. सो इनिशियल जो वेलोसिटी थी ए बॉडी की वो u1 थी, और बी जो बी बॉडी की इनिशियल वेलोसिटी u2 थी। और जब ये दोनों बॉडी कोलाइड हुई तो वेलोसिटी का कुछ चेंजेस आया। ओके, सो जो वेलोसिटी का जो चेंजेस आया, और वो किसी वेलोसिटी से अप्रोच हुई थी और किसी वेलोसिटी से वो सेपरेट भी होंगी, उसी को हमने ई लिखा है यहाँ पे। और ई जो हमारा होगा आफ्टर कोलिजन के बाद की वेलोसिटी क्या होगी। सपोज करो ये आपका जो ऑब्जेक्ट था, यहाँ से ये कोलाइड हुआ, इसके बाद इन्होंने जो m1 बॉडी थी वो v1 वेलोसिटी से मूव करेगी, एंड m2 जो बॉडी थी वो v2 वेलोसिटी से मूव करेगी। ओके, सो दिस आर द बेसिक थिंग। सो आफ्टर जो कोलिजन के बाद की वेलोसिटी v2, और बिफोर कोलिजन की वेलोसिटी क्या थी v1। मीन्स ये जो वेलोसिटी है v2 माइनस v1, ये आफ्टर सेपरेशन के है। आफ्टर मीन्स जब कॉलिजन हुआ था ना उसके बाद की वेलोसिटी है ये v2 माइनस v1, और बिफोर जो थी वो क्या थी, वो u1 माइनस u2 थी। ठीक है, तो अभी यहाँ पे दो केसेस बताए थे मैंने स्टार्टिंग में ही आपको, कि अगर ए की वैल्यू जो ये हमारा कोफिशिएंट ऑफ रिस्टिट्यूशन है, अगर इसकी वैल्यू जो है जीरो आ जाएगी, ये जीरो आ जाएगी, तो ये क्या हो जाएगा, इलास्टिक कोलिजन हो जाएगा। इसको क्या कहेंगे, इलास्टिक कोलिजन। इज इक्वल टू जीरो मीन्स इलास्टिक कोलिजन हो रहा है। एक्चुअली ये वन होगा, एंड इन इलास्टिक के लिए ये जीरो हो जाएगा। ठीक है, इलास्टिक कोलिजन की वैल्यू ई इजकल टू वन है तो इलास्टिक कोलिजन है, और इजकल टू जीरो तो इन इलास्टिक कोलिजन है। We will see some further, okay, regarding the same thing, and now we will derive a relation for the finding velocities of the two bodies before collision and after collision in the next class. Thank you.